Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bearded Baker Banter, the sports podcast. Beautiful humpy hump day morning to you.
Yes, that's right.
Welcome, Trent. Welcome, Trey. How's it going, boys?
Not too bad. How you fellas doing?
Got some sports in my mind.
Me too. But you,
Kind
Trent.
of things.
Me. Oh, excuse me. I'm good. I'm just
frog over there.
Yeah. Would have been a lot better here. My Tuesday night wager would have hit. But it is what it is. Gotta do what you gotta do. In the realm of NFL wise, I'm miserable. I hate it. I hate the NFL right now because my team, mainly. But
I kind of just hate the NFL, but that's just me.
Well, I was going to get to it, but this week I think the product was more tolerable.
I totally disagree.
So at least from the games I watched, I didn't see many flag. I thought games were officiated well, actually.
I don't think there's enough players right now. And it is hurting the brand. And if we don't mind, if we can kind of jump right into this, that was kind of the first thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that injuries are hurting the brand. And I think that players are making too much money. I think the whole thing is just a big money pit where nobody wants to tough anything out. Are there real injuries? Of course.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
God.
All right.
Oof.
Brandon Ayuk, real injury. Aiden Hutchinson, real injury. Are there real injuries? Yes. But I just feel like too many guys just don't want to fight through certain things, little tight pools, little this. And why would you? Why would you if you're making the amount of money that they're making? And it's frustrating. I'm never going to sit there and complain that, oh, man, it should be – because owners, that's a whole different story. But what I'm seeing and what I think is happening is that players are making too much money that they're not willing to push through it. And I just feel like watching the NFL right now, I just feel like I don't know half the players on the field on any team anymore because everybody is literally just a preseason player. And that's how I feel. So whether it's good, whether it's bad, I don't feel like any of these guys are standing out either. I don't feel like anybody's stepping up where it's like, oh my gosh, how about him getting a chance? Oh my gosh, how about that guy getting a chance? Like, because by all means, I'm all for giving guys a chance. Yeah. But they're playing like they should be on the practice squad. And that's what I feel like the NFL is this year.
Well, I mean, I think you say there are
Finn.
You're asking, are there real injuries? I guess the better question is, are there fake injuries? Because one that we definitely saw was Devontae Adams, correct?
For sure, 100%.
Like that was a complete way to just be like, hey, I'm not playing. Trade me. Yep. I'm not playing. I'm not risking my health with this team. But nothing's better than going from a 2-5 team to another 2-5 team. Lost to the Steelers and 2 times this year already. What a douche. They look horrible, by the way. They look very rough. It's a rough organization. Tyler, I will like to say one thing about is anybody playing good football? Is anybody standing out? And I would say abso-freaking-lutely there is. The Ravens. And I know you don't like to give them credit, and I would actually run the tape back when I said that pickup of Derrick Henry was enormous. And you said, I don't know. I think he's past 30. He's done. Wrong.
I'm not disagreeing. I still don't think they're using them like they could.
First in rushes, first in rush yards, first in rush touchdowns, first in yards per rush, first in rushing first downs, longest rush, he's first. Scrimmage yards, he's first. Scrimmage touchdowns, he's first. How are you not using them right? Can you use
because nobody else is playing. Every other number one running back is out or missed like 4
there you go. So that's the guy, man. He's the guy right now. In my opinion, this is a hot take for you guys, is Derrick Henry deserves MVP over any of these quarterbacks right now.
I disagree with you.
The favorite is Lamar.
I think Jared Goff.
The betting favorite is Lamar now.
I understand that, but I still think Jared Goff and Lamar have a better chance than Derrick Henry.
Okay, I get they have a better chance because, once again, it's a quarterback award. But
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is right now the most outstanding person at any position single-handed. Like we always say, Jerry Rice, there's no argument he's the best receiver of all time. There's arguments for quarterback. There's arguments for running back. There's arguments for linebacker. There's arguments for every position except wide receiver. Right now, this year, I don't think there's an argument for who the best running back is besides him.
You're saying in the league right
In
now.
modern day, right
Not
now. I'm not saying history, but you know what? I'm trying to say, like,
Yeah.
right
yeah,
now,
I got you.
you could argue, okay, golf is golf statistically, they have more, what is it, more touchdowns or something like that than I forget what
Just
it is.
incompletions in the last
Is it
4 years.
incompletions? But like in terms of, I don't know, Trey, you could sit there and argue for Lamar at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
There were a couple guys until last night. I would even say you got Baker Mayfield, you got Sam Darnold, which I can't believe we're saying these names, Josh Allen. But like, that's why I just feel like at running back right now, if you're saying who's the best, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like that's all. That's all I'm saying is like, I get what you're saying, Ty. Is like, yeah, there's a ton of guys hurt, but like it's very, very clear that like he's the best at his position, which in my opinion, most valuable. I think he's most valuable. So
I think seeing the Ravens play last night, they started a bit slow, but when they got going, man, it just exploded. It was just like,
yeah.
And again, I'm not a huge Lamar fan, but Lamar looked electric last night. I mean, he actually threw the ball well, which surprised the hell out of me because usually the complaint is, well, Lamar can't even throw the ball. I mean, that dime he threw, 49-yard touchdown pass was insane. Yeah. You know, like they looked like a very top caliber team last night after a little bit of slow start. I'm not saying, but Trent, I wouldn't sit here and say that the Ravens are in a class of their own still. I think there are other teams still that are still along those lines because the Ravens have shown weaknesses, you know, from time to time throughout the season already. So I wouldn't put them in their own category.
Chiefs.
They have
Week
2 losses,
one.
don't they? Don't they have 2
They
losses?
do, but that right? That's the they have 2. They lost to the Raiders somehow. So yes, you're right. Weakness. That's a very bad weakness.
No, but I don't know. I think you can still put Detroit in there. I think you can still put Minnesota in there. I'd put Green Bay in there. I would put. I don't know. You could even make the argument that the Bills are in there. You know,
I didn't say. I think the Ravens are the hottest team right now. I'm not saying that they're the best. I was just speaking on Derrick Henry, but the Ravens right now, hell, I mean, here's the frustrating thing. Now they did lose to the Chiefs, but I mean, if they played the Chiefs right now, the Ravens would be the betting favorite, guaranteed by the books.
Yeah, then the Chiefs would cover because Chiefs cover.
Chiefs don't lose his dogs. They don't lose his dogs. They don't ever. They might not ever lose this year.
I mean,
they're not even that good.
That's exactly. I don't think they're that good. Coming from the guy whose team just got beat by them. All right. We also had our top wide receiver by the end of the game was a guy who literally just got shot in the chest.
Let's say that's your healthiest.
Okay? That's our healthiest wide receiver, which put that in perspective.
Hey,
all right. And they still only lost by 10. So not making excuses. All right. But I agree with Trey. I don't think the Chiefs are this dominant team. I lied. I don't think that Patrick Mahomes is as dominant as people make him out to be. I do think that Andy Reid is dominant. I will say that. But I think Patrick Mahomes, hey, you ready for this? Patrick Mahomes is a system quarterback.
No, I disagree with that.
I totally think that he's a system quarterback.
He's one of the biggest people that can make a play out of nothing. That's what he's known for. He's crazy improv.
Okay. Coach JB won a whole thing. Put him on the Jaguars. How good is Patrick Mahomes?
So who did the Chiefs have that the Jaguars don't have?
Lots of people. They always reload every year.
Name a skill player that's better than anyone on the Jaguars.
Travis Kelce.
Ooh.
This year, you think he's better than anyone on the Jaguars?
Yes.
No, I disagree. I think Brian Thomas Jr. I think Evan Ingram. I think I don't know who else. Christian Kirk, maybe. I think they're all better than
Travis Etienne.
I think they're all better than Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is not that good anymore.
Okay. One
Tyler,
person's opinion.
Speaking about this past week, this past matchup, that was game of the week, I believe, Chiefs Niners. When's it soon time?
Kind of a dud.
When's it soon time to talk about the seat warming up for Kyle?
I don't think it's going to get hot for him. Yeah, no, I don't think it'll get hot for Kyle until he's unsuccessful when his team is all there. Because, like I said, I mean, if you want to talk about injuries, sure, the Chiefs have injuries, the Rams have had injuries, everybody's had injuries, but I mean, we haven't had Christian. Debo's played probably half the games. Ayuk's out of shape, and now he's out for the season. I mean, Kittle's missed 2 games this year. Like, pick who you want. They don't.
I just
and we haven't had Dre Greenlaw. I mean, and Hargrave.
I just look at the fact now that Kyle Shanahan is 0-5 versus Spagnuolo's defense. 0-5, and then he's 0-3 versus Flores. He's 1-8 versus Todd Schwartz. Like, I'm just wondering now, is like
Todd
those
Schwartz,
three.
Schwartz.
What?
Jim Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz. Who's Todd Schwartz?
Todd Schwartz. I think it was a kid that went to elementary school with me.
Jeez. I think it is. I know exactly.
He's that baseball cards at recess.
Shout out Tim Schwartz, baseball card collector.
Not Tim, it's Todd.
Todd.
No, he just messes
Todd.
Actually,
anyway,
that might have been a kid named Matt Quinn that actually had the baseball cards.
But anyway, Ty, like, all 3 of those guys run a similar scheme, and they obviously have Shanahan's number. Like, when are you going to change? When are you going to have to sit there and do like a self-scout, a true self-scout through and through, and say, maybe I got to now start reaching out and learning from others? Because I think enough guys have left him.
That's fair enough.
They've left his tree and gotten they made things their own. I mean, I look at the Rams coach, technically is from his tree, right?
No, he's from his dad's tree.
I disagree with that, because
Kyle Shanahan doesn't have a freaking tree.
He does have a tree.
It's Robert Saleh is his tree. Robert Saleh. He turned out great.
Mike McDaniel.
D'Amico Ryan's Mike McDaniel and Robert Saleh.
Ryan.
That's it. That's it.
I think Trey takes a little offense to it because technically his head coach falls under that tree too.
I don't know how you can say that when he coached underneath his dad.
But long story short, all right. Long story short, is
it's not a short tree; it's a big tree, though.
I just think I'm just wondering when are people going to start questioning this? Because I just think it's starting to become, and I know when you're winning, everything's great. He looks like God. And right now, he looks pretty awful. This team has had one of the most talented rosters now for half a decade. And you've got two NFC championships to show for it. But that's not what the game's about. The game's about winning Super Bowls. So I think it's frustrating to watch them right now, because they are so good talent wise, and they're just not doing anything.
I don't think that's a question to be asking, because I don't see Shanahan never getting fired. If he got fired, that'd be the stupidest. That'd be like worse than a Vrabel getting fired or whatever. But I think a better question, and I know Tyler's not going to hear this, is: are you guys going to pay Brock Purdy next year?
No, yeah. I think they're going to pay him. Number one, I don't think, and what you have to understand, I've said this even before this season, is I don't think Brock Purdy's going to go out there and try to get this boku crazy amount of money, all right, where you can't pay the talent around you, because if his personality isn't like, hey, I'm going to make as much money as I can because I can do this on my own. And if you've ever listened to any of his interviews, I think he understands that. So I think he's going to get a good pay. I think, if anything, it sucks to say this, but the fact that San Fran is not electric right now will actually help us in that matter, I think. because, oh, okay, well, Brock, did you take your team to the Super Bowl or did you take them to the NFC Championship?
See, but I think that's going to make him think the other way. It's going to be, I need to get what I can get now because
I don't, because he needs the talent around him. If he can't play the guys around him, I mean, obviously it's showing right now when the guys around you that are hurt, I mean, you know, he's doing what he can, but it's not panning out.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be stupid to be like, I'm going to make all the money. All right, sorry, friends. And then just have nobody around you. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. And I don't think that's his personality.
But that, well.
Every other quarterback's doing it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I don't.
It's like what we talked about. It's like what we talked about last week. You know, guys don't really have to prove too much anymore to get big contracts. It's like they'll deal with Justin Fields. Like I just they're gonna have to pay him a good amount of money. You're not going to get anybody on a bargain anymore. It's just the way the league is, especially with like what we talked about earlier with injuries the way they are. Like, get paid now. Like, you have to get paid now. And I mean, geez, that angle can go so many different directions after this past week. I just feel like there were so many storylines this past week, right? Like the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell is that about?
And
then it looked great at the end of it. Mike Tomlin looks like a freaking genius. But then you sit there and Tyler, to backtrack on that, Tyler, you're going to lose that bet.
I know. I was thinking that.
Dude, stop betting it.
Yeah, every freaking year.
But the other angle at it is, I mean, look at now. The Browns are completely screwed. They've got to pay Deshaun Watson over $70 million this year. They got to pay him over $70 million next year. Yep. And he's not going to be able to play a snap. So it's like, oh, yeah,
Trent, it's through 2026.
Oh, God.
So it's this year, next year, and the following year.
So,
and you know what's funny is, he's not going to, like, what's his incentive to work hard in rehab to get back? You know what I mean? Like,
he's going to massage therapy. Hopefully get it back together.
Yeah.
But no, you know what I mean? Like, he's guaranteed money. He doesn't really have a legacy that he needs to live up to because his legacy sucks. So it's like, what's his motivation to really get, like, attack this rehab head on and, like, get better quick?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Like, he's not, like, I don't see him playing, like you said, I don't see him playing at all next year. I don't think he plays next season at all.
No.
And he very well could.
It was Achilles, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And keep in mind, Trey, how many games he missed last year too.
I think he's played
half the season.
I think he's played 36% of the snaps that he's been 36% of games.
And he's got the biggest guaranteed contract in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
I think the GM deserves to be fired just for that. Although, if you find a team that's willing to take that on,
nope,
or at least split. Oh, I have a scenario. I do.
Oh, let's hear it. Love to hear it.
Okay, can I jump to this? Jump to this trade scenario?
Mm-hmm.
If you are the Detroit Lions, okay, Detroit Lions, you are good right now with young talent. Your quarterback is under contract now. Okay, young talent. Jared Goff is not old. Don't look at me like that. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, which, by the way, Sonic and Knuckles, best nickname ever for a running back duo. Don't know if you guys saw that.
Mm-hmm.
You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who's going to get suspended here for 2 games, performance enhancers.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a young tight end in Laporta, and then your defense side of the ball is very young. You give up 2 first-round picks, and you pay. Oops! Everything's getting excited here. You give them 2 first-round picks. You offer to take, if not all, some of Deshaun Watson's contract. Take him for Myles Garrett. 2 first-round picks. Deshaun Watson's contract.
2 first. And no way, that's way too much.
That's 2 first for Myles Garrett. You think that's too much?
And to take on Deshaun Watson's contract, yes, I do. That's way too much.
Eat it. Eat the contract. You get now.
Why do that?
Do it now because your window to win in the NFL does not stay open long.
I don't like
it.
That.
It does not stay open long. Win now. Get Myles Garrett for this year. Make your Super Bowl push this year because they are a Super Bowl contender, whether you like it or not. They are.
Yeah.
Okay. You lost Aiden Hutchinson. Get Myles Garrett in there. Once you have Myles Garrett in there, now next year you have Hutch and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line.
And
your offensive line is the best in the league, in my opinion. And you got one of the best head coaches in the league right now, in my opinion. So that's my take on that trade. Trey, I think you just don't want to see it because you saw the little rumor mills of the Packers going after him.
That's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Myles Garrett's going anywhere.
I think he's going somewhere. I don't think he could sit there and just sit back and let his career just rot because honestly, like I know he's really good, but at the same time, who really talks about Myles Garrett a whole lot right now? Because the Browns are that bad again.
Yeah. Defensive player of the year last year.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to sit there and just let himself rot. I mean, there are a couple guys here on the trade block too. I know that people have been talking about Crosby for the Raiders, Trent. I don't know that he's going anywhere. And then the two new ones today that I saw that were interesting was Cooper Kupp, possibly on the trade block. If he does end up in San Fran, he'll be back on the IR. Just how the year's gone.
Dude, he's not going to San Fran. He's going to the Steelers or the Chiefs.
I was say Kansas City.
And then the other one is this one blew my mind. Matthew Stafford and the Vikings.
Yeah.
What are the Vikings doing?
They play each other this week too.
But honestly, what are they doing?
Is that Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
Who's led them to a one-loss season so far and has played, like Trent even pointed out earlier, MVP caliber football.
So you're telling me you're telling me you wouldn't take Matthew Stafford over Sam Darnold right now?
Ooh.
Right now, I would take Sam Darnold.
That's crazy.
I think Matthew Stafford is at the end of his career and not playing well.
No, I disagree completely. I think if the Vikings had Matthew Stafford, they'd be very, very dangerous.
But Tyler, it's not a bad thing to have Stafford there because you drafted a quarterback, the quarterback out of Michigan this past year who's out for the year. So
right, I'm not disagreeing with that.
If you take him on a loan, you might get Matt Stafford, and that might very well his arm talent in that situation to be able to throw to Justin Jefferson and Addison. I think they go from whatever their odds are to win the Super Bowl, if not the division. I bet they get better if they get Matt Stafford.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. I think you're playing with fire there with your quarterback.
Sucks.
I know it's Sam Darnold, but
that's the thing. It sucks.
You're playing with fire if you're gonna sit there and say, thanks, Sam, for 5-1. See you later. Go to the Rams, who don't do anything this year. I don't know. I think that's to be careful what you wish for there of the Vikings.
Speaking of those teams, though, the Vikings and the Lions. How about that game?
Yeah,
that should have been the game of the week.
Yeah,
I know they probably make them earlier in the season and stuff, and probably stick to them. But it started out looked like the Vikings were going to run away with it. Then the Lions looked like they were back to themselves and going to run away with it. Yeah. And then Montgomery fumbles late in the game, and it was awesome. Very entertaining.
Yeah, it was definitely a game. Any other recap? Any other games from this past week before we actually get into some current games here?
Just speaking on the Lions, I think one of the funniest interviews I saw with Dan Campbell at his press conference the other day was his response to the real fat guy, Chris Christie. That fat guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big fupa.
Wears his belt up to his nipples. He
I wish I would have seen this because I must have missed this.
Oh man, so he's a Cowboys fan. He was so upset about 2 weeks ago what Dan Campbell did, run the score up. I did, you guys. We should have talked about this last week. But did you see that he actually made the lineman that got called for the penalty that year for the last play of the game? I believe it might have been victory. he made that lineman go in and report eligible just so the officials had to say it to the stadium. And it was a kneel. He made that Skipper, I think his last name's Skipper, to come in and take the knee. But so Chris Christie, official? No. There's no way they're gonna
that'd be better.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
No way they're gonna let that happen. But so Chris Christie called Dan Campbell classless. Right, classless. And they go, "Oh, what's your response to Chris Christie, doing an interview and calling you?" And all he says is, "Oh man," he goes, "I think the last time I was called classless, it might have been because I was drinking wine straight out of the bottle." Like he's just like, just this like subtle responses like that crack me up. Like that guy has that locker room. Like
oh yeah,
they got his back 1,000.
They're having fun too. You can see.
Hell yeah. Trey, I know it sucks because you're a Packers fan, but man, that is if I won.
Yeah, Trey, it sucks.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Get on tape. If the Raiders get rid of Max Crosby this year, I will no longer be a Raiders fan. And I think I will be shifting to the Lions. I might have to.
That's stupid.
No,
should pick.
You literally go Nebraska and the Lions.
Nebraska's a 1-year loan. 1-year loan. Relax.
Jesus. Still
on the Cornhuskers. They're going to be all right. They got their asses kicked. But
well, speaking of the Packers,
they got a pretty tough game this week, Trent.
Speaking of the Packers, let's go. Trey, what do you got?
I just thought it was an ugly win, but those are the wins you got to win in general. We tried losing it like we always freaking do. It's very frustrating. I've seen a lot of comparisons of Jordan Love being like Brett Favre and just reckless and throwing interceptions, and he needs to tone it down and take care of the ball, which is true. Like I agree with that. Like he needs to make better decisions, but I don't want him to stop doing what he's doing. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he needs to tone it down." Well, those first of all, some of those turnovers are tip balls or bouncing off players, and keeping them in the air. But if you're telling him to tone it down and to eliminate those throws, well, then you don't get the throw like you saw to Tucker Kraft, where he's placing it in perfect spots and taking chances. So I don't necessarily want him to tone it down. I think he's playing exactly how he needs to. Someone else made a good point that he's playing like he still has Joe Barry calling the defense. So maybe he just needs to trust the defense, because without the turnovers, the Texans score a total of 6 points without turnovers. So CJ Stroud was held to, I think, 55 net passing yards.
That's pretty bad.
People in his face all day. I think it was a good performance. It was an ugly win, but I don't know. Hopefully McManus can cure our field goal woes.
Who was that, Tyler?
Who was it? What did he say? What's his name?
Brandon McManus.
No, it's McManus.
I cannot hear his name or see his name without saying that because of the Tyler. Every time.
McManus.
So
that's how it's spelled. Just call him like I see him.
No.
Anus.
Gosh.
All right. Games this week. All right, couple big ones here. A couple big ones. There's some interesting storylines, I think. One storyline that I had highlighted was Bears Commanders. Weirdly enough, battle of the quarterbacks. As long as any word on Jaden Daniels?
His mom said he's fine.
What?
His mom said he's fine.
At least our mom did.
That's what I did too. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, glad mom's on top of that.
Just say, how the heck does mom know?
Yeah, no, that'll be an interesting game. I do think the Commanders kind of run away with it a little bit. Still not on the Bears, but yeah, I don't know. That was a game I had highlighted to at least keep an eye on. I think Jaden Daniels can stay healthy. I think they do put up a bunch of points because I trust Dan Quinn's team more so than Eberflus' team, but that's just me.
Kind of not a good NFL week in terms of matchups.
I was struggling to kind of go through some games.
I would say,
and again, I think it goes back to injuries. I'm like,
to me, the game I think that's going to be the most telling of a team's rest of their season. I think it's the biggest game for each team this week is the Eagles-Bengals.
Yeah.
I think a lot of questions are going to be answered about one of the other teams. Is Sirianni going to struggle? Was the last week just because of a Saquon hype game and they wanted to feed him? Which, by the way, look what happens when you do feed him the ball all the time. You win 28-3 with a simple game.
We've been saying it all year.
Yeah. But I mean, if the Eagles continue to do that, yeah, they look like they're back to their old selves.
Mm-hmm.
But Bengals are on the up and up. They started out slow like they do every year, so that's the game that I'm keeping an eye on.
I just don't get how that game is plus 2.5 the Eagles.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at like how the Bengals have played, and that spread just kind of surprises me. I don't think the Bengals have. I don't know. They just haven't.
I think they're better than what you think.
I think they're really probably kicking themselves they didn't keep Joe Mixon. I think they miss him. They really do. But I do, Trey. I mean, to respond to your comment about Saquon, you're right. You got to give him the ball. But I will say this is, how long does he hold up? Because he's very injury prone.
Gosh.
So I worry about that. We going through like some like our games that we like right now.
Give your best bets.
Yeah, I got bets too.
Yeah. So I actually, and I hate betting on these games, but I always do. Thursday night game, I like the Vikings minus 2.5. I think they're going to come out because I think the Rams. I'm sorry. I think the Vikings have been quite undervalued this season. I really do in terms of spreads and points. Okay. I've even wagered against them many times. I'm like, okay, they're actually real. They're legit. I like the Packers minus 4.5, hammering that. Can't believe it. I'd love to get it for 3.5, but I like them 4.5. I don't like to do it because I think it's a trap. I know we say maybe there's no such thing as traps, but it's totally a trap. Eagles plus 2.5.
Definitely such things.
Yeah, I actually won't wager that. I actually just wanted to kind of talk about that. That's why I have it written down. Eagles 2.5 just seems so fishy to me. Like so fishy to me. Yeah. I just hate it. And then as long as Jaden Daniels does play, I love the Commanders being underdogs at home. Because to be quite honest with you, they look pretty good with Mariota. I know they're playing Carolina, but Mariota looks very comfortable in that offense. And for those guys that week that were criticizing Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and they're running a college offense, and then he goes out and drops like 48 on that team.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: Mariota was great in college, not so much in the NFL. So who knows? Maybe he found his home.
Yeah. So I have 3 best bets for the week. Trent, one of those is the Commanders plus 2.5. Even if Mariota is playing, is the quarterback, I still like the Commanders in that, and I think a lot of it is Cliff Kingsbury and his offense. I think those quarterbacks are, I don't want to say interchangeable because I think Jaden Daniels brings a different element to the game, but Mariota fills in efficiently and does the job just as well, I think.
It's a good backup quarterback to have there too.
Right. Absolutely. And I didn't know he was there until Daniels got hurt, and I was like, oh crap. Okay. Like it's a good guy to have sitting waiting to play. But next one is I don't think I'm glad you think it's fishy because it makes me reassured that I'm on the right side of this bet. But I do think the Bengals minus 2.5 is a good bet, and that's one of the picks I have this week. Like I said, I think that they're fighting for their season, and I think they know that. They're almost in must-win mode already, especially with the Ravens and the Steelers playing the way they are in their division. And the Eagles, I think there's just too many question marks. Sirianni is a wild card. Is he going to try to stray away from plan that worked last week? Who knows what's going to happen? I just don't trust the Eagles. I like the Bengals at home minus 2.5. And the last game I like is the Bills and the Seahawks under 47.5. I think that's going to be kind of a bruiser kind of game, like very like hard-nosed football game, and I think those teams are going to beat each other up. Josh Allen doesn't have an interception yet this season. Whew, how about that?
It's probably because he listened to our podcast and was like, hey,
right?
I proved you guys wrong.
Isn't that crazy? I think that's awesome. Yeah. But no, crazy. So I'm going to go with under 47.5 in that game. Those are the only 3 I have this week.
I think Amari Cooper looked pretty comfortable in that offense too.
He's being told what to do.
Doesn't matter. He's still catching touchdowns.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. My best bets this week, Trent, I'm also on the Vikings. I'm not taking them 2.5. I'm taking them just money line straight up. Not as great odds, but that's where I'm at. I also have Commanders money line plus 110. I am on the Falcons money line against the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are going to sink a little bit, and I think the Falcons will come out, even though it's in Tampa Bay. I'm not taking the points on that. I'm taking just Falcons money line. Trey, I'm also on the Bills game. Not for the total points, but I'm going to take Bills -3 against Seattle. So DK Metcalf's been a little banged up lately.
A lot of road dogs.
But, yeah.
In general.
And then just because I'm taking Niners -4 as the Sunday night game with Dallas. So before heading into the bye.
Ooh, no way. I'm not saying no way like your Niners aren't going to win. I just that scares me.
Yeah, I think they'll be. I think they're going to be a little juice to play here, just with rivalry stuff. But those are the games I got highlighted in terms of picks and stuff. So,
yeah.
All right, so that kind of wraps up our NFL stuff here. So now we're going to jump into some college football. It was obviously a big week this past week. Some big games, some big teams went down. There were some surprises, in my opinion. But if you guys don't mind, I'll start off with the beatdown of Alabama by Tennessee Volunteers. They started out to a point where I was like, oh boy, our season's done. When Nico went down with a little bit of an injury at one point too, and then the next guy came in, the backup quarterback came in, threw a pick the next play. I was ready to take my jersey off. I was like, well, all right, this was a good season. But no, I mean, to score 0 points in the first half and then come out and still beat Alabama in the second half the way that they did, it was a tough game. I mean, it was fun. I called a beatdown, but honestly, it was a back and forth game the whole time to a point where I never felt comfortable. Nobody ever feels comfortable against Alabama. All right, you never really know what they're going to do. I will say this, though. Jalen Milroe, I know we talked about him being a Heisman candidate and top guy after they beat Georgia. He's starting to show some flaws, some turnovers, some fumbles, some interceptions and things like that. So he's beatable. I think that Alabama's beatable at this point in time. The fact that I think they said the first time in a long time that Alabama had 2 losses before November. Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing, but I guess that's what happens when Nick Saban's no longer your head coach.
I would also say this too. That's what happens when you no longer have the divisions within conferences.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the only time Alabama ever played Georgia was in the conference championship. So
it's true.
I think the elimination of that has allowed us to see more losses in these power conferences.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, ton of SEC schools have 1 loss. Yeah. So it is very interesting. There's still some teams that I'll talk about. They did do a little college football playoff potential look, which we can talk about at the end of this. But Trent, to your point about Georgia dismantling Texas the way that they did, making Texas look like they forgot how to play football with both quarterbacks, was kind of telling to me. It surprised the hell out of me because I expected Texas to run away with it and leave Georgia in the dust, and Texas looked scared.
It made me feel wrong in my analysis all year. I thought Texas was kind of like head and shoulders above the next best
everybody.
Team. Yeah,
I agree.
And that was eye-opening. You're right, Tyler. It was like, holy crap, they don't look good. And Georgia, who they're a good team. Like Georgia's probably definitely top 4 teams in the country, I would say. Georgia made them look awful. And I don't know. It was very eye-opening is, I guess, the best way to describe it, because I was very wrong about Texas from what it seems.
Yeah, they're in the mix. I mean, they're still a top team. I'm not going to discount them in that sense.
Right.
I think they're still a very good football team. But I agree, Trey. I've had them head and shoulders above everybody. I'm like, oh no, no wonder they're number one. And after this past week, so that was an eye-opening game.
Who is number one?
Oregon now.
Trey, he knows. Don't play into that.
That doesn't. I think that's a joke. Oregon is not that good.
I think Penn State being number 3.
I mean, they're both. They're both
in front of who?
Ohio State.
How many losses does Ohio State have?
1.
Oh,
by 1 point to the number 1 team in the country.
But how many losses?
Who is Penn State beaten?
How many losses does Ohio State have?
Oh my God! Just for that, I'm cheering for Ohio State over Penn State.
You were anyway. I'm
kidding. I would never. I'm kidding.
Oh God!
That doesn't bother me because I knew he would have anyway.
I would not. I do not. I would not. But although I can't stand Franklin, but it is what it is. But sorry, James, if you're listening.
I mean, Oregon. Obviously, they're going to put Oregon at number 1. I also don't think that Oregon's really been challenged a whole lot this year, though.
No.
Ohio State. All right, yes.
Okay, they're just getting into their conference, and I'm sorry, but to say they haven't been challenged, they beat the number 2 team in the country. I just to say they're not challenged. That's a completely wrong statement.
We'll see what happens this week too.
It was one game. I feel like the other teams around them though have had at least 2 or 3 big dominant games at this point in time.
Okay, who's Penn State beaten?
I'm not saying Penn State.
Number 3,
I said I think Penn State being at 3 is a joke.
Okay.
I think Ohio State being at 4 is a joke still.
Who should be number 1 then, Ty?
Can I tell you what?
Who should be number 1?
I think Oregon should be number 1 at this point in time. I don't disagree with that. I just don't think they've been challenged a lot. But the team that I think is getting the screws to them is I know they've struggled with some games that they still won, is Miami. I think Miami is sitting outside the top 5 for at least the last 3 weeks when they've had some pretty significant wins. And I think they're getting the screws to them just sitting there at 6. Right on the outside.
They also got a couple wins handed to them.
It's the ACC. We saw it last year. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing what happened or the decision that was made last year, but it's shown that the ACC is the least respected Power 4 conference out there, for sure. And I'm not saying in football. Well, I am. They're disrespected in basketball, but that's next week's episode, right? Come on now. I'm ready. Fucking Joey Brackets. Eat shit. Yeah. Sorry, I had to get that in there quick. Whoops. What can I allegedly? Sorry. But anyway.
Allegedly eat shit.
I'm trying to cover asses here in case Joey comes at us.
He won't.
What's he gonna sue you for? Just for telling him to eat shit?
Yeah, who knows nowadays, right? But I just Tyler, I'm with you though, because I want the Raiders to take Cam Ward, but all these guys right now, I think he's a little under. I think he's a gamer. I like him, but you're right. But I think it's just the disrespect to that conference as a whole, and yeah, it's you're going to see how many SEC teams in this damn playoff. I mean, Bama, they saved by putting it 15th.
Yep.
Ole Miss is still ranked.
Which honestly,
A&M is climbing up. LSU is up there. You got. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're good football programs, but I just always, it kind of makes me laugh how they have insurance policies for that conference. ESPN runs the college playoff, and ESPN and SEC have their contract together. So it's
what about Notre Dame is sitting there at 12?
Yeah, they're in.
Right, but I'm saying no. Well,
not this week.
Darn right, Trey.
Dude, I know. I have that highlighted here as a game we'll talk about. But I'll tell you what, man. At this point, I don't think Notre Dame is in. Do you guys, Eric, real quick? You wanted me to read off what they had?
If they're 12, they aren't in.
So I took a picture of it because this was one of the college football playoff projection things. All right. Now, again, this was on ESPN at halftime of the one game tonight. All right. This was the top 4 seeds. They had Oregon, Georgia, Miami, Iowa State. Okay, now keep in mind that would be the 4 teams that would win. All right, the major 4 conferences. Okay. Next,
wait,
5.
Hold on. Say that again.
Oregon, Georgia, Miami, Iowa State.
Okay, Iowa State. Okay.
Next, you had 5 to 8. They had Penn State 5, Ohio State 6, Texas 7, Tennessee 8. Next, your 9 through 12, then they had LSU 9, Clemson 10, BYU 11, and Boise State at 12.
Ooh, I like that.
So
like
there was no, at that point in time, no Alabama, no Notre Dame.
It's the top 11 because the 12th team is going to be the champion or the highest ranked so it's the champion of a non-power 4 that is highest ranked.
Yes.
Right. And again, this is all projection based. I mean, depending on what teams win, what teams lose, and things of that sort. But it was very interesting. I mean, A&M was on the outside looking in. Indiana was on the outside looking in. Yeah, so Notre Dame would have been out in that case, and then Boise State would have been in place of Notre Dame in terms of the top 12. So it was interesting because at first I didn't even see Miami on there, and I'm like, holy hell. Like, they're just going to say that Miami's going to be out completely. And then I went back and looked. I was like, oh, okay. They haven't been there at 3. But, yeah, a lot of interesting teams out. I mean, Ole Miss would be out. Pitt, who's still 6-0, would be out. I don't know. There's a lot of football still to be played here, but it's been quite interesting. I think the fact, too, another team, kind of big game from this past week, Illinois beat down Michigan. Like, just beat down Michigan. Michigan scored 7 points to Illinois' 21. And Michigan has dropped out of the top 25 for the first time in a very long time. There was, I don't know, just, again, if you guys have other games and stuff you want to bring up, but I had the fact that Florida smacked Kentucky the way that they did was interesting to me because I feel like Kentucky's defense can give team fits. And Florida was without their number 1 quarterback due to a torn ACL, and he came in and just dominated, hung like 48 points on him. Mm-hmm. BYU's looking like the best team in the Big 12, which, again, we'll get into lines for this coming week here.
They escaped.
Right, but still, we'll talk about the line here in a second. The team that I have circled in terms of real or fake is Missouri. I can't figure them out. They look very good one week and very bad the next week. Very good the next week and then very bad. Like, it's just, I can't figure them out. Very thankful that they did figure it out at the end because that did hit me a 7-leg parlay, which was very beautiful. But the only other thing here, and again, if you guys want to rattle things off here, but Oklahoma, I think Venables is on the hot seat. They're now 4-3, and I'm pretty sure
they are 20-point underdogs against Ole Miss.
Yes, that I did know that. I was trying to figure out who they played. Ole Miss, and 20. Like, that's huge.
Yeah,
for a team that were they top 10 this year at one point?
No, they were ranked like 15th or 14th to start. Or something.
I was just say they were in the top 15 at some point, but they're to lose the way that they did last week. I know South Carolina's been playing some pretty good football, but to lose the way that they did to South Carolina last week was awful.
Yeah,
it was awful. So, also kind of frustrates me too as a Tennessee fan because I'm like, shit. Oklahoma was kind of, one of those where you put your hat on it in terms of victory. And now it's like, oh, well, it wasn't that good.
Well, they do consider that. Plus, you beat them at their home. So,
yeah.
But that's how I felt about USC. I was pissed that they weren't ranked and Penn State came back and beat them.
Yeah, they have an interesting game this week too. But anything else from this past week here? College football headlines. Go ahead.
Yes, the support our troops parlay.
Whew. Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's free money.
Yeah,
hey, free money.
Hey, you keeping it rolling this week, Trent?
As long as you're not including Air Force in that.
No. Yeah, sorry, Air Force.
They're the only team that hasn't covered it in NCAA.
Wait, yeah, I'm sorry. Support our troops parlay consists of Army, Navy. I usually nothing against Air Force, but just this year.
When Space Force get a team?
They're part of the Air Force.
They started college.
They're part of the Air Force. They're a branch of the Air Force. Anyway, yeah, I think the Army, Navy undefeated. I think it's awesome. Really, real likelihood of potentially Navy going down this week against Notre Dame, but I'm not picking against them. Definitely taking them 13 and a half, at least to cover. I'll keep an eye on their team total as well. I will totally be betting with my heart this week on them against Notre Dame. Might even Amazon Prime a Navy football shirt here tonight. Yeah, it's that kind of time. But
Trent does love the Seamen.
I do want to point this out. This has been discussed here. From my understanding, is they are. I'm totally ignoring that comment. Sick of this. They are both in the AAC.
Yes.
Right? So now, if they both end up making the AAC championship, they will have to play each other twice in the regular or once in the AAC championship, and then they will have to play each other in the Army Navy Bowl.
Yeah, as I say, well, the Army Navy Bowl is played after the playoff is determined.
Yeah, so they're still going to play it, even if one of them makes the playoff, from what I understand. And it just at that point it won't mean anything.
Wouldn't it be weird if
the playoff is determined?
Did make the playoff beat the undefeated team, or vice? You know what I mean?
It'd be crazy. It's going to be absolutely nuts. But I think that's awesome. If that could happen, that'd be awesome. But yeah, Navy football, Army football, both undefeated, and I don't know. You get 1 week to in college. You're trying to get. I know it's Notre Dame, but you get 1 week to prepare those guys for those offenses. That's not an easy task, Tyler. You know from experience, prepping for option teams and wing T type teams. Yeah. It's like they have an answer for everything. So I'll be anxious to see that.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, obviously Navy beats them. I think Notre Dame is obviously done then.
Yes,
and no shot.
Yeah, at the playoffs. They shouldn't either.
So
I can rattle off my best bets if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead, give them.
So I got 4, total of 7 this week. As you guys can see, my dry erase marker died, so I couldn't write them down. But first one I have is Illinois plus 21.5 against Oregon.
Hey, real quick, we just need some sponsorships so that we can afford new dry erase pens.
Yeah. Definitely not
Expo.
Definitely not Intensity brand. Some expos.
No, Intensity brand. If you'd like to replace the marker,
Yeah, well,
we'll support you. We'll bring the intensity each week.
I guess so. Illinois plus 21.5 against Oregon at Oregon. I just think that's a lot of points. I think for what's I believe to be a close game. Illinois is no joke. As you can tell, they beat Michigan, who's not the best, but still, I think it's going to be a lot closer than 3 scores.
Trey, if you say any that I have, I'm just going to echo it. I also have that because Oregon does not like to always cover. No. It's usually a backdoor cover. Yeah. So I am taking Illinois.
What's
plus
the spread?
21.5 as well.
21.5.
If you give me
nope.
If you give me a half a point, I'll take Oregon minus 21.
No, just take give us 21.5.
Nah. I want a half a point.
My next bet, Tyler.
I've got Oregon 20.5, so that's why.
My next bet is West Virginia plus 3.
Ooh.
Loser. Man. I forget who they're playing. It was someone that I liked, and I forget.
Just got myself up over here.
Oh man, it's gonna drive me nuts. Who are they playing?
You keep rattling them off here. I'll try to find them quick.
Next is Kentucky minus 2.5.
Arizona.
There you go. Yeah, they're playing at Arizona. Next bet is Kentucky minus 2.5 against Auburn at home. I just don't think Auburn's solid. I think Kentucky is playing pretty decently, and at home, less than a field goal. I like that. Last one is Boise State +3 at UNLV. UNLV's been in the headlines because all their players are leaving because of falling through NIL deals. Starting quarterback, starting running back. Boise State's got the best player in college football, so I'm taking them +3.
Okay.
Wait, Boise State's a favorite. They're -3.
That's what I meant. Sorry, -3. I read that wrong.
Okay.
Trey, I also have Boise State -3.
There you go.
So,
And I will tail that.
There you go.
Plus Jaunty to score 7.5 touchdowns over.
I think it's Genty.
Damn, we called it
wrong. I know, but I've been listening to the analysts and stuff that we knew how to say it.
The best part about him is his pre-snap stance.
Everybody's been talking about.
They call it the Michael Myers.
Dude, yeah, that's so. I love it.
Did you see Gibbs emulated it?
Yeah,
simulated it. I don't know. And he ran for a touchdown.
Yeah,
or imitated it.
Yeah, imitated.
Emulate. He emulated it. Tyler, is emulate a word?
Yeah, it is a word.
It is.
See, so I do it right.
I don't know if you're using it right now.
I am. Totally am.
Trent, let's hear yours.
All right, here we go. One, be aware, because when I first saw it, I was like, what the hell? This is a steal. I'm just pointing this one out. I'm not betting it, or I'm not making it a best bet, I should say. Indiana -6.5 at home versus Washington, and game day is going to be there, which sucks because Curtis Rourke is out.
Is he?
Or it looks like he's doubtful. He had thumb surgery.
Yeah,
it's starting quarterback for Indiana. Thumb surgery on Monday. I am totally betting Navy +13. I think you're going to see him for +13.5 by the end of this week as it gets closer to the game. I fell for the trap maybe. I took BYU money line versus UCF.
Mouse.
I am. Yeah.
Say BYU. You said BYU money line.
Yeah,
I'm on it.
I'm taking them for plus money.
That's okay.
I'm taking it. I'm not going to overthink this one.
You guys are going to eat the wad of peanut butter, huh?
Yeah, I love peanut butter. Oh, what if it's a sticky trap?
It was a trap. That's what he's doing.
Anyway, I don't know, guys. This one, I'm looking to maybe buy a couple extra points on this one, but Vanderbilt +18.5 at this point.
At home
versus Texas.
No. Nah, stay away.
Don't fall for the Vandy trap, dude. They look good, but they've also been shut out. They've also been shut out this year too.
Okay. I hear you guys.
I just avoid that game because who knows you don't know how Texas is going to respond.
I just think you guys are just trying to get me on a beer bet. But anyway, I like this. This is a big spread. It's a very big spread. I know it's a rivalry game, but I think Miami's due to just murder somebody. No pun intended, but Miami -21. Miami -21 versus Florida State.
Okay.
The last one, because I'm sick of it. I bet against them almost every week. This might be my pick. Colorado -5.5 at home versus Cincinnati.
God dang it!
What?
I just hate betting on Colorado.
Yeah, I do too.
I know. You guys are so
yuck.
You guys are so against me. Last 2 Saturdays have treated me very well.
It's fun.
So that's where I'm at, boys.
All right. I got a lot, guys. I bet a lot on college football. So
best one to bet right now.
Yeah, dude. So ever since, just so listeners, and I told you guys about this too, that I've been doing this for 2 weeks now, is I bet a parlay in the noon games that start, right, up to about like 2:00. Then I do a parlay with games from the 3:30 segment, a parlay from the 7 o'clock segment, and then I do a smaller parlay for the 9 o'clock segment.
Dude,
so
sports books love you.
Well, now keep in mind. I mean, it's not huge bets, but
I know. But
it's small sprinkles, and I usually do like one per sports book kind of thing because you're also going to get some sort of parlay boost and stuff from each of the sports books. So why not do one per book? Now that doesn't also include my best bets. That doesn't include all my individual bets as well, and I also do some same games as well occasionally too. But anyway, like I said, college football Saturdays, and hey, I've been doing all right lately, so we'll see. So we'll start with Friday's slate. I got Boston College plus 7.5 against Louisville. I got Boise State -3 at UNLV. The Rutgers and USC, which is 11 o'clock on Friday. So nice little Friday night cap there. Rutgers USC, I have under 56.5 for that game. Rutgers games tend to go pretty low, but I am on the Indiana -6.5. The quarterback news, Trent, that you just broke to me, though, might make me change that. So Navy +13, Illinois +21.5. I'm on Alabama -13.5. I think they come out pretty angry. It's at Alabama. It's against Missouri. Again, what Missouri is going to show up. I'm banking on the Missouri that doesn't remember how to play football. I got BYU's money line, which is a dog pick, but I'm not going to believe in the hype there. Texas Tech, back on them this week, +6.5. I would like to see that Texas Tech game get to 7 against TCU. 6.5 makes me nervous, but I might bump it maybe a half a point. We'll see. And then the other game that I'm looking at in terms of making my actual, again, if people understand what I've been betting lately, I've been big on the overs, not very big on the unders, although the over really crushed me last night. But the game that I'm looking at and keeping an eye on right now is Oklahoma and Ole Miss. Right now, the over is 49 for -112. So I might bump it down a little bit unless it does go down. We'll kind of see. But right now, that's kind of my makeshift pick for Saturday. So, but that's where I'm at. So that was for keeping track. That was about 10 picks.
It's all right. It's all right.
And I said the funny thing is like I do bet all of those individually, and what I've been trying to do with the parlays is keep them different. So like if I'm betting a game like individually, I'm going to try to pick some other games to put in my parlays.
Yeah,
to keep it fresh.
1,000% do that so you don't catch a double L.
Yep.
What about a double W?
Well,
you could.
If I absolutely like this past week, I had Army and Navy. Ready? I had Army straight up, Navy straight up. I had Army and Navy in a 5-leg parlay, which hit. And then I had the Support Our Troops parlay, which was just Army, Navy, a 2-team parlay. And all of those were winners. So
that makes it nice.
Yeah, those academy schools are boom.
Yeah.
They protect us, and those gentlemen are putting some money in my pocket too.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking
anything
of money
else?
in the pocket, World Series starts this week. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw that Ohtani got his $250,000 pay. Did you see that?
From the future.
Yeah. From his future.
I knew you were gonna say it. Yeah.
Not as incentive from his future bet on the Dodgers to make the World Series. Allegedly. Sorry. But no. But what an awful World Series. Just thought we should address it because we do a lot of baseball this summer.
It's awful because I don't want
teams we hate.
Yeah. But in terms of like lineups and rosters and what you want to watch,
I want the Dodgers. Who you guys got? I want the Dodgers.
I want the Dodgers.
I can never find myself okay sitting here ever saying I'm cheering for the Yankees, so I'm going Dodgers too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a team I'll never cheer for.
Yep.
I just hate Yankees fans. Sorry.
Whoa, sorry, Bill. Bill,
yeah,
Bill.
I don't know.
He doesn't. Bill coaches with us. Sorry, Bill. Sorry about our younger brother. He's young, immature.
Bill, pinstripes are overrated.
Ooh.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
They're in the World Series, though. Damn.
No, I'm saying like the pattern is just in general overrated.
Yeah, much.
And
much
tonight,
more
or sorry, last night they also did that Frozen Frenzy with the hockey. So they had all 32 teams playing at once.
Yeah.
So a lot of hockey games. I am not betting them yet, but I have been keeping an eye on
Shots.
some teams, some shot props. So they're coming. They're coming here soon because once football slows down a little bit and we got some other things that I got to bet on, I am not betting on the NBA. That's for sure. I will be betting on hockey shot props.
Trent's low key watching NBA games every night. Weirdo.
Yeah, he is a weirdo.
I have to carry us in that field.
Okay? Yeah, it's true. Like you are.
Trey,
NBA,
Trey carries us in strokes gained, and I.
Oh man,
what is that, Trey? Again?
No,
just get.
You know what? Whatever. Just give us some valuable insight.
I'm pretty sure he had a PowerPoint for that. Can you guys hear me?
My mic on?
But
yeah,
Tyler, on more seriousness, we need to decide on this. Is next week our first college basketball episode?
So we're gonna this is gonna be the college basketball preview. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that means we will pick what the winners of each major conference.
Yeah.
Preseason. Oof. Do a little deep dive into the AP top 25 and the way too early Final Four.
That's right.
Damn, I got some research to do over the next couple of days.
Yes, you do.
Trey, what book?
I mean, I have it. I'll send you pics. That's the Blue Ribbon Yearbook. It's the best thing out on the market by far. It covers every single team, returners, starters, transfer portals, teams they lost, how they did last year, types of offenses they were on. It's awesome.
Only thing it's not going to have is the abrupt change of Tony Bennett retiring.
Yeah,
that's very true. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I will say just a preview. All right, that I have seen via the world of X that High Point may be a team to keep an eye on again this year. So pretty happy about that.
North Texas.
They have been my team to bet on the last 2 years.
Yeah, we like them.
So pretty solid.
I would just like to backtrack one quick time. I'm sorry. We just keep throwing things.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Maction Tuesdays this year? Because conference
it usually starts, I think, in November, Trent.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, because conference USA weekday football sucks. They are horrible. Anyway,
yeah, it was not good.
Ugly.
Don't worry.
Ugly
Maction starts up soon.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I had to get that off.
Hey, and something else to look forward to. November 16th, John Jones and Stipe Miocic. So circle that because Oliveira and Chandler are also fighting on the same card, and so is our guy Bo Nickel.
That's right.
And so should be a good fight. Should be a good card. Keep an eye out for that. That's we'll do some picks with that fight for sure.
Major card this weekend though.
Yeah,
this weekend.
Ilya Tapora,
Max Holloway.
Max Holloway. Max Holloway's never been knocked out. Does it happen? Yay or nay?
Ooh.
No.
Nay.
So that Ilya Tapora doesn't knock him out.
No.
Nope. Nay.
What TKO count?
But yeah.
That would count as
still a knockout. Yeah, it'd still be a knockout.
Whew, I don't know, man. He did it to what's his name last time? Man. Volkanovski. That's it.
Yeah.
Nah.
Whew.
Not worried about it.
All right.
I'm telling you, I'm still just as a big John Jones fan, I'm just tunnel vision ahead to November with that fight.
Don't look too far ahead because you know what John Jones fights.
Okay, just relax. He's
either injures or some sort of substance.
He's gonna fight. Relax.
Allegedly,
he'll fight. He's gonna fight, and he's gonna win.
All right.
He should fight Aspinall, but whatever.
Let him retire. Let the guy retire.
Nah, it's bullshit.
Let him retire.
Give the fans what we want.
Yeah.
I want him to retire on top.
Yeah, get out of here.
I do.
You don't want him to fight Aspinall.
No, I don't. I want him to
Then
fight.
you're a little meow meow.
I do know what he means by that.
I do.
Okay.
So that's what you are normally, Trent, with beer bets.
Yes, that's
what a winner? Because you guys freaking lose to me all the.
What's the spread? What's the spread? 30.5. Okay, give me 7, and I'll take the beer bet.
Oregon, the past bunch of my wins have been straight up whatever you wanted, and I'm kicking your ass, Trey.
Yeah.
Oregon got me a 2-fer.
Whatever.
All right. Anything else?
That's it, fellas.
Oregon minus 21.5. Book it. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Nah. I might text you guys about it.
All right. Well, happy humps.
Happy humping.
Yes.
Happy humping. You just real quick before we leave. That is, there's gonna be shirts made with that. It's pretty simple.
Well, as the Black Eyed Peas said, my humps, my humps, my humps, my humps.
Yep.
And then she said,
I'm not finishing that part.
Yeah, that'll be going. Oh, and Bearded Baker Banter Christmas sweaters. So keep an eye out for those.
Ooh.
I'll let you know.
Yes, sir.
It's coming this year. All right. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy this football weekend.
See you,
Before
fellas.
we know it, it will be November. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.